Hi, everybody.
Hi.
How you guys doing? So I got to tag Bill. Let me see. I'm going to put it here. Let me see if I can tag Bill. Babe, are you okay, baby? I don't know if I can. I'm writing in the comments, but oh, there he is. Are you okay, baby? Oh,
Sorry, I went to put that down.
hi, Bill.
Hi.
If anybody
Bill.
knows Constantine and can help him out with this, you know, he's having a little bit of issues, using he said his iPad. His iPad won't open the link. I don't know why. And
So he's having technical difficulties again.
Yeah, I don't get it. And then Kenny was supposed to come on. I totally forgot about that. Totally forgot. I went back in my messages and we did. He said all the way back when he said November 11th, and I said it was almost like the same type of a thing that happened with James Johnson. Like they said they gave me a date, and I said okay, send me a pic and a bio, but I never got the pic and the bio, so I totally forgot that we said that date. And I literally was like, we were messaging each other. So I was like, I said, oh my God. I was like, you're like one of my most favorite people in the world. I was like, please. I was like, I am so sorry. I was like, it was so unintentional. So I totally didn't mean it.
Tell him it was the spirits that, messed everything up.
I'm going to tell Constantine to go on our page. Okay. Go on our page. I will post the link in the comments. Click on the link that's in the comments.
Yeah, maybe that'll work.
Go on our page and click on the live video. We are live. And then click on the link that I post in the comments.
This gives me a bright light. Too bright of a light. I wish it wasn't so bright.
Or maybe I can send it to him in the messenger. Hi, Rich.
Hi, Rich.
If we can't get Constantine to come on, I mean, I want him to come on.
Well, while you're waiting for him to try to click on it, you want to give a little idea who Constantine is?
Yes, I will. Hold on. So let me go back to our page because I'm bad at remembering things, clearly, like offhand. Let me go to the event because if I click on our video.
Yeah, because the first time I met him, it was Selma. So he was here a couple of times with Selma. Right, Bill?
That's interesting. Yeah. So, yeah, right. Hi, Al.
Hello,
All right.
Al.
So if our guest gets to come on, Constantine he's an intuitive. And he can hear, see, and feel beyond the 5 physical senses, he says. He helps the living understand the dead, and he helps the dead understand themselves. He said, the foundation of my work is knowing and understanding the true nature of reality, because only then can we know and understand the phenomena we investigate, which is true. Mm-hmm. He's based out in Pennsylvania. He works independently and also as a team member of Deadline Paranormal. Deadline Paranormal is based in the Northeast Pennsylvania and is composed of active and retired law enforcement personnel as well as clinical psychologists. So that's the group, which is good. Mm-hmm. Working professionally, I hope to understand, bring resolution, and help our clients cope and heal. He said he also actively assists law enforcement by aiding in criminal investigations. Yeah, maybe I should just have him call in. What do you think?
I forget what happened last time. Maybe it was he was called in last time. I don't remember seeing a physical person on the screen. I think it was over the phone when we did it, and that could have been when we were at the Center of Life and Balance with Beth.
He's an intuitive. He can remotely pre-read investigation sites, photograph situations or people, and typically when on site begin investigation process with a walkthrough trying to know who and what our clients are dealing with. He can remotely work with individuals and paranormal teams who are sincere in their desire to understand.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're on your computer, so Bill said, yeah, his phone and iPad won't open. So maybe just give him a call.
Yeah. All right. So, well, I don't know his number, so let me message him and let me give him my phone number. Call my cell. And then I guess I'll just put it on speaker.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we did last time. Bill, we're giving him
Bill,
the number
if
now.
you can give him my number, that's fine. I sent him my message. I sent him my cell phone number on Messenger, but if you have it, if you can give it to him.
Ow, it just hurt my neck. Just playing with my hair.
I got the fire going. I got some wine.
Yeah, I got cranberry juice.
Oh, good times. Is that for like a reason?
No, I just want cranberry juice.
I wonder if I can. All right. I don't know why anybody's liking this right now because
I know they're probably bored out of their mind. They're like, oh, what are they doing?
it's always like something, right? Who's
Yeah.
on next time? Who's on next week?
I'm so antsy today.
Why?
Huh?
Here we go. Why does it say Jeff? Okay. Hello?
Good God. I don't know how to solve this problem. It won't allow access to my microphone or my camera. And it says change the setting, and I can't see the setting. And I can't see it on the StreamYard website either.
Oh.
That's so weird. What about if you go to the Brews page? Remember, did you go to the live? Did you click on the live video? And in the comments, I put the link up. You couldn't click on.
I got the link.
Okay.
I see the link. I click on the link. A screen comes up that says your browser is blocking StreamYard's access to your mic and your camera. Change the setting. There is no setting. I can't.
You probably have to go into your settings in your actual phone, maybe.
Well, that's what I was doing. I did that. I did it in Samsung Internet. I Googled that question. If you Google it, they say you have to do it on StreamYard's website, not on your phone. It's on their website. You have to say allow access. And wow. I just couldn't get to it.
Well, as much as I would have loved to have seen your beautiful face on here with us, this is good enough for us. This is great.
Oh my gosh! I'm so sorry. It's just
no. I'm happy. I'm happy that you decided. Right. You're here, so that's good.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi.
You can hear him okay? Can you hear Sabrina?
Yeah,
I can hear Sabrina. I think I hear her angels.
Aww. I'm going to type on here that we have you on the phone. We have successfully communicated with Constantine. Say, Michael. So let's just start out. I did give a little, while we were waiting for you, I did, give everybody a little synopsis of you, but
Cool.
it's better. I like hearing you talk. So, so if you could just explain to people how you came about to be and what you're doing, who just the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, I've basically been like this my entire life. This is not something that all of a sudden developed. I just never understood it when I was a kid, that I could know things that other people didn't know. And I've always had this, I call it intuition, but this very strong sense of knowing things. And it's not believing something. It's all of a sudden you just understand something. You know it in your head. So it's been with me my whole life. But I had, and I've had multiple different experiences, as a child and different things. But there was really one major event that happened that caused me to focus on this and decide that I really want to understand how ghosts and I'll use the term the paranormal work. I want to know how it works. I don't want to believe in something. I want to understand it for myself. And I thought, why can't I understand it? Why can't anyone understand it? So the event was my brother-in-law. I was about maybe 29 or 30. My brother-in-law had moved into a new home, and my wife and I had stayed over one night. We slept in the elderly couple that sold it had left all their furniture, so they actually had a bedroom with twin beds in it. So my wife and I stayed in that room overnight one night. And I woke up in the middle of the night to hear this knocking on the ceiling, a very sharp rapping, and I thought, wow, those are crazy loud pipes. I just went back to sleep. There was nothing weird about it. I just thought it was some pipes or something.
Right.
So we get up the next morning. I I said, gee, you got some crazy loud pipes going through your ceiling there. And my brother-in-law's wife breaks down and she says, oh my God, our house is haunted and this is crazy. We just bought it. Now we're going to have to move. And so anyways, they were having a haunting situation and a pretty intense haunting with lots of loud bangs, furniture moving, thermostats going up and down, doors opening, clicking on the phone, just kind of standard stuff, but to a strong degree. And one night we were over there and we heard what sounded like an explosion come from the basement. And, I looked to my brother-in-law. I said, what the hell's that? And he says, that's the ghost. And I said, no, that's your furnace backfiring or something like that. He goes, no, it's not. I kicked it all out. He says, that's the ghost. We hear this on a regular basis. It happens all the time. So my wife said, okay, we're out of here. I'm never coming back here again. We drive home. And when I was in bed, I'm just about to fall asleep. And bang, right in my face was a gentleman. His name was Albert Johnson. He was a freed black slave, but he was a free man. And he had been falsely accused of raping a white girl and was hunted down and lynched. And
oh, wow.
Wow.
I knew everything. His face was, I was nose to nose with him. I could feel his sweat hitting my face. He was right there, and I knew everything. And he was frantic. He was beyond he was out of control. It was fear, anger, everything. And I thought, what the hell was that?
Right.
But I knew his name and I knew his whole story. So I'll condense this story. So I talked to my brother-in-law and I said, don't ask me how, but I know who this ghost is. And he asked me who it was, and I told him what had happened. So he said, come here. I was down at the house, and he said, I have to show you something. So one night he was up early in the morning walking the dog, and they live in a wooded area. And in Rhode Island, there are lots of historical graveyards. They're everywhere, and they're always fenced and marked. He said he was walking his dog early in the morning, so at night, basically, and the dog led him into the woods, and he found this small graveyard with 2 carved headstones, and there was no fence around it. It was an unmarked historical graveyard, very unusual in Rhode Island. And to the side of it was a rough slate, not a carved headstone, just a rough slate, and it had the name Albert Johnson scratched into it. And that's the name I knew.
Oh, wow.
So it sounds ridiculous. It sounds like something you'd see in a movie or in a novel or something, but that actually happened. And it just shook me to the core.
Oh, wow.
And that's when I started to say, I've got to figure this out. I have to figure this out. And I started to observe myself and observe how I know things and get better at like fine tuning that. But here's the most interesting fact, I think. This house is in Situate, Rhode Island. My mother's maiden name was Yaw, Y-E-A-W. Very, very old English name. And my family on her side, the Yaws, were some of the original inhabitants of Situate, Rhode Island.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
And I thought, he knew me. That's why he came to me. He knows me as a Yaw.
Wow. I think that might have been part of it, but do you think the other part was knowing that you would be able to, pick up on his energy and be able?
I'm sure that was it too.
Yeah.
They just see me, but I felt this horrible guilt because I thought, oh my God, I wonder if my relatives did this to him.
Oh.
Like they could have been there. They were some of the original. They would have been known in this town when he was there.
Right.
So anyways, it just triggered a whole cascade of how does this work? Mm-hmm. Really, what is going on? How does this work? So that's how it all started. And then I just got better and better and better at producing credible information in doing research on paranormal sites, hauntings, police work, whatever. Then I started to understand better what was happening in my head, and I could fine tune it and get better at it. I learned to recognize what was important, what's not important, and to trust my instinct, to trust my intuition. If I think it's this, I just, will make a statement that I think it's this. I trust the information I come up with.
Yeah, that's one thing I think a lot of us have an issue doing. When you're when you're in a location and you're picking up on something, you don't say anything, and then all of a sudden something happens and it kind of validates what you were thinking, and then you're like, oh, I was going to say that, but
right.
and then everybody thinks you're bullshit.
Yeah, I do that too. I was going to say that, or the thought was there.
I want to get to a point. What really helps me is almost always when I'm doing an investigation, I have somebody with me, and they understand what I do, And the rules are that I get to say any stupid shit that comes into my head, and we're just going to roll with it. So if you have the right, conducive, supportive team around you, it's much easier.
Right.
And then you really have to put your ego to the side. You can't, well, it's hard to say, but basically being right is not in the top of my mind. I try to put being right out of the picture.
Yeah, because you're not.
So I don't worry about it.
Because we're not going to be right 100% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I tell you, I am scary accurate. I scare myself.
Well,
I'm scared myself. Honest to God, I think, how the heck did I know that?
Well,
it still surprises me to this day. It never gets old, ever.
Well, I know, and I'm not one. Sabrina knows we've investigated together for a really long time. I'm not one to, walk into a place and be like, oh, I see a woman in a white dress with, flurries, and she's got freckles and blonde hair, curly. I'm not like that. I go in and I'm an investigator. So, I hear something, I go see what could have made that noise. I'm more so if I give myself the time for like 10 minutes, I have to lay on the floor in a location, and I have to just hear and feel. I have to feel the building I'm in. So I lay on the floor, and I have to close my eyes, and I have to hear everything. I have to hear so I can block out, and I have to just lay there for 10 minutes. And you don't always get to do that, right? So I a lot of times it doesn't happen for me, but I will say I had the pleasure of investigating with you. And even though it was only for what did we do? 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I had experiences that I've never had before. And it was amazing. He was just as he was saying so we were at Selma Mansion, and just as he was saying there was a woman in the hallway, I looked up at the same time he was saying that. Before I knew what he was going to say, I looked up and I saw this in the hallway. And he said, there's a woman. And then we just started bouncing off of each other. I was picking up on this little girl, and then there was a woman, and he's like, yes. And he's praying. And then they were coming. I'm getting chills talking about it. I really am. I mean, it was real. I can't explain, and nobody has to believe me, but I can't explain the feelings and the experiences I had. And I believe that's because of you, not because of, because I've been in Selma a lot. I've had experiences there, and it's an amazing place to investigate, but that was on another level. That was on a totally another level.
Well, I think what happens, is that when I get in the zone, and sometimes it's a little easier certain places, but typically every place I investigate, I'm able to go into that place, and reality shifts for everyone when I'm in that place. It changes the reality structure. You can feel it.
Yeah.
It's not like a dimensional shift or anything like that, but you're now, it's there's a bubble, and everybody who's kind of involved is in that bubble. So they now start to experience a little bit what I'm experiencing.
Right.
It carries across multiple people who are there. And I think that's a basic, how do I want to say it? It's not a skill, but I think that's a basic behavior or attribute of humans, is that when they're more than one together, they can put their consciousness all together in a different place. They can all experience an altered state of consciousness as a group. And that happens a lot when I investigate.
But, well,
the mood shifts. You can feel it.
Yeah. Well, that's never happened with me with anybody else. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, me and Sabrina, like, I feel like we investigate good together. Like, you know, I trust her. She trusts me. You know, when we investigate somewhere, you know, like, I trust her instincts, you know, and like, you know, it just, we flow good together.
Yeah.
However, you know, with you, I was seeing what you were saying, and then I was feeling it. And then when you were saying that she was like coming in and praying with you, like, and I'm not, you know, I've never experienced anything like it. Like, I feel like, well,
I think that, you know, it depends on who you're with. Some people, if you go and investigate with, you're not going to get anything all day. It just might be the vibe or the energy connection with the person that you're with. And like with you and Constantine at that moment, there was just the energy was right between you both that was able to attract that. Where, like I said, like when we do investigation with groups, with a group, we might be hooked up with somebody who we're just not connecting, and we're not going to get anything. And then you hook up with somebody that it just goes right. I think there is something to that. I really do. Mm-hmm.
I agree. I feel like, well, and that was the first time I met him. You know, I mean him, right? Constantine. I mean, I feel like that was the first time we met, and we just walked off and started walking around Selma, you know, and I was just, he was like, basically.
Selma is a funny place too. I mean, I've been in a million buildings. I've been in a lot of historical buildings. So, you know, I read buildings. So I'm very familiar with going into buildings like Selma and that type of thing. Excuse me. Selma has its own aura, or whatever, its own, I hate the word vibe, you know, but it has its own little place in reality, and it's very easy for me to become completely drawn into it. Somebody can really draw you in. It happens every time I go there. I just space out, and I just want to sit in the chair and be in the building.
Yeah, it's like you go in, you get a hug from Selma. It's like it draws you in, and it forms like this bond with you immediately. If you have, you know, what Selma's looking for, that family bonding. It's just the love that, you know, gets put out there for Selma, and Selma gives it back. So definitely, like, it's just home to me. You feel so welcome when you're there. It does have its own aura. Just driving up to it, it's like a little piece of land on its own. It's like, here you are. It's like a bubble. You come riding up the road and you're like, oh, Selma. And it's like a bright light, you know. Yeah. So it definitely has its own aura. I'll give you that. Yes.
I agree.
And of course, and it's getting stronger too. I mean, all the work that's being put into it, and it's getting even stronger as far as when you go there. It's just like like this gratitude that it gives you back. It's just, and it's bustling. I mean, always bustling. When were we there last? Oh, was it the psychic? Oh, the wedding. Oh my God. When we were at the wedding, when we were at Michelini's wedding, you couldn't even imagine. It was like the Selma spirits were all celebrating too. It was amazing.
Very cool.
Yeah. So hi, Gina.
And it really, yeah. I mean,
another comment is, you know, I'm very, very lucky because I get to do what I do, and I usually get to do it like without restraint. You know, if I go to an investigation, it's agreed that I get to be me and do my thing first. And it's really, I'm just very, very lucky. And it allows me to be more effective if I can just kind of, be assertive about what I want to do and how I want to do it and proceed, and allow the investigation to go that way. Mm-hmm. It lets me be a lot more effective rather than trying to say, oh, okay, well, do you want me to go upstairs now? Or, you know what I mean? I just do my thing.
Yeah. How did you get into working with like law enforcement? I know you can't really talk about, cases specifically, but how did you get into it, and like what is it that you is it just one law enforcement that you work with, or
no, it's basically started with one connection, a gentleman who is retired as senior detective, Pennsylvania State Police, a senior guy, and he was interested in the paranormal. And when I first moved to Pennsylvania, I wanted to become associated with a group, and I saw his group. He had a group, and I contacted him, and I said, this is what I do, and I'd really like to explore working with a team. I've never worked with a set team before. And he said, well, that sounds interesting. Why don't we meet up for a cup of coffee? So we did. And we had a great conversation. And I started with kind of a test. I hate to be tested, but he said, I said, I work remotely. I don't need to be, I like to be on the site, but you could just give me a label and I'll read it remotely. So we started there, and I nailed it. I totally nailed the read. Like it was thrilling. And then he started to involve me in his different cases. So I probably had, it's hard to, I really don't have an exact count, because sometimes it was a full-blown effort with site visits, and then other times it's conversations on the phone, kind of varies.
Right.
But I did a bunch of work with him, and then he introduced me to my present team, Deadline Paranormal. He said, you like these guys, they're all cops. He says, you'll get along with them. So he was exactly right. That was a good team.
Are they still like, they're still like up and running and doing?
No, not really. It's just, it's so hard. The spirit is willing, but I'm still in touch with them all. And with the original founders, I will still do work. We have little odds and ends now and then.
Well, if you ever need help, I'll help out.
Yeah, we can assemble a team. It's just, there were some health issues and their work demands, and it's how it is trying to keep it all together.
Right.
So we kind of had our heyday, and then we all just kind of like got lazy. But through that team, I met a different group of detectives. And with those guys, I got brought into a pretty well publicized case that was, in order to kind of reopen the case and allow me to work with, on the clock detectives, it had to be approved at some level with an attorney general.
Wow, so, that's interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was so. It's like
how do you me?
You trust me?
Yeah, like how do you go to the attorney general and be like, yeah, we're gonna do some paranormal stuff on this? I think that's awesome. That's awesome.
Right. So, and that was a murder of a young man in Pennsylvania Aimlands. He was a hunter, and at first they thought it was an argument over who's hunting where, like he had a confrontation with another hunter. But there was always suspicions that that wasn't it. And the mother had put up a $5,000 reward. And there were billboards on like 380 and stuff like that. There were billboards in the area looking for information. The gentleman's name was Lee Van Leeuwender. That's the victim's name. So, story on that. So we meet the detective on this case, and it's me and Jim, who's the founder of Deadline Paranormal, Jim Fazzi. And we get in this truck and we drive out to the game lands, and he just stops in the road. And he hasn't like said 2 words, you know, they're very quiet. So he stops immediately. Of course, me being me, I have to open the door and run up the hill. So I open the door and run up the hill, and I look back at him, and I said, the body was right here. And then I looked down, and I realized that I was standing in evidence flags that they had set out to mark where the body was.
Oh.
I hadn't even seen them. And I'm standing in the middle of my, the body's right here. He's looking at me like, yeah, what do you think? You got little flags.
Oh, wow.
But I hadn't seen them. So certain things I can sense universally. And almost always one of them is drugs. Like if there were drugs, if it was a drug deal or the people were using drugs, I can feel the drugs. So I said, this was definitely about drugs. I said, and there was a little hunter's shack just maybe 100 yards off to the side of the spot. I said, that building's involved. I said, this guy was really high when they killed him. And the 2 other guys killed him right here. Like they brought him out really high and killed him right here.
Wow.
And I said, they know who did this. I looked at him. I said, you know who did this. They know who did this. I said, he talked and they know who did this. And all of a sudden I realized that this was a test. This wasn't the Lee Van Leeuwender thing. So I said, they did something weird to the body. I said, I'm not sure what it is, but it's almost like they performed a ceremony on the body. So anyways, the guy was already arrested. He was in jail. They knew exactly who did it. He confessed. And they took the victim's clothes off and piled them on top of them and lit them on fire.
Mm-hmm.
So they lit the body on fire. So I passed the test. And we went on to the real investigation. And the real investigation was very complicated. It's a very complicated scenario. But there was an additional detective brought in who was going to be the detective to actually work the case. And, you know, it's funny. I've worked with a lot of cops, and I've never had anyone like shun me or say that's a bunch of crap. It's amazing how really open-minded they are.
Well, that's, I was just going to ask you, like, have you had anybody like ever be like, you know, talk down to you or think that you're bullshit or anything like that? Nope. That's funny. I think you were just reading my mind. Stop doing that.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. Never. But go ahead. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
if you
never. I'm always humbled at how well I'm treated. I'm treated with utmost respect. But you know why? Because they're cops. And
right.
Within minutes, I'm starting to tell them information that I have no way to know.
Right.
And once they get the sense of, oh, okay, this guy's not some flake. He really does do this. They're all over it. They love the information.
Which I think is awesome. You know, because if you think about it, and I say I have a lot of cops in my family and friends and stuff. You know, it's kind of like what we do. the investigating part of it, we don't enter a building alone. Like the things how we investigate is very parallel to the way they investigate something,
Right.
So I always joke with my brothers because my brothers will bust my balls. They make fun of me. They always bring up the South Park where the ghost hunters was like, "Oh, did you hear that?" They always like make fun of me. I'm like, okay, you hunt bad guys, I hunt dead guys. Well, I mean, like it's parallel. I mean, it was just, I missed my calling. I should have been I should have been I should have been a detective, I think. Because that's
when I was a kid, I wanted to be a cop. I just for that reason. I like solving puzzles. I like knowing, like, how does this work? What's the answer? How did this work? And it's just, in the that one tiny aspect of it, it's fun and exciting. It's difficult work for sure.
Oh yeah.
But they value what I do, and my goal is always to be useful and to not waste anybody's time. And my goal, like when I say, I said before, I don't focus on being right. Well, when I'm working with police, I absolutely want to be productive. Like, I really want them to go away and think, wow, okay, we know this. So I really just try to do my very, very, very best. Residentially, I certainly try to do my best, but it's a little looser,
Right.
Different things, but when they're picking you up in the squad car and they're all packing guns and there's 3 uniformed officers and 2 detectives and everybody's standing there looking at you like you're like, they don't know what the hell I am.
I honestly can't even imagine. Like, I have the utmost respect for police officers. Like and I almost, it's almost, I made up a diagnosis, because I'm a good person, but I have blue uniform syndrome as opposed to white coat syndrome. So like, whenever there's like police or military or anything like that around, like I literally get, my blood pressure goes up. You would think I was smuggling in like kilos of cocaine because even though I'm not doing anything wrong, like you would think I was. So it's like, I don't even, it's like, I'm afraid to talk. I'm afraid to, I don't know why. It's just, my father was a police officer. Like, I don't know why that happens to me. So I totally understand what you're saying. Like, and it's also very, I mean, it's got to make you feel good. You know what I mean? That they're coming to you for help, and and not only that, but then helping to solve a crime. It's not just, this self-validation for you. I mean, you think of the families that you're helping in a way. You're still, it's a paranormal thing, but you're still helping. You're finding closure for these people. You know what I mean? Because the families need that.
It's very difficult. The thing about cold cases is to
love cold cases.
Yeah, the majority of them go unsolved.
Yeah.
I can. They want to use me because they want information more than what they have, so they can put a case together, prosecute, and get a conviction.
Sure.
So lots of times, my credibility is built because I tell them what they already know. Like, I can read it and say, well, this is this and this is this, and lots of times they already know that. It's like, okay, yeah, that's cool and everything, but we need something new. Like, we need more. If we just could go on that, we would go, but we don't. We need to validate this more.
Right.
So sometimes I serve as validation that we think it's this. We don't have enough hard evidence, but Constantine comes in and describes it's that the exact same way we understood it. So now we have like independent corroboration from a guy who has no way of knowing this.
Right.
And they feel more confident in their position.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, because
I've actually interviewed face to face the prime suspect in the murder case.
Oh wow!
They stunned me. We were on site, and I had, in a remote read, I had previous, when I'd been doing it before we went on site, I had identified their person of interest perfectly. I described him, and I didn't indicate he was the main person of interest. I just said, I'm seeing this guy, and it's that guy. So anyways, they knew that I knew. And while we were on site, we started to pull up. And earlier on, I described this guy I call Cowboy. I said, I keep getting this guy. He's got a cowboy hat, got cowboy boots. He's got a vest, a belt buckle, a mustache. I mean, he looks like a cowboy, like an old Western cowboy. So that was who the main person of interest was. He fit that description. So when we started to pull up to the site, I started to get really anxious. And I said, oh, my God, we're going to get caught. And I'm in, with two detectives and an officer. And he says, what do you mean we're going to get caught? I said, I don't know. I'm telling you right now, we're going to get caught. So we pull up to the house, and about 2 minutes later, a pickup truck pulls up, and this guy steps out, and he's got a cowboy hat, a vest, boots. It's Cowboy. And I looked at the detective, and I said, there's your cowboy. And they don't flinch. And I said, we just got caught. So once they start to roll with me, they really pay attention to what I say. So anyways, they had me interview this guy. He was a neighbor. And in my read, I had said, there's somebody that walks through the woods. And it was a complicated murder scenario, too, because my impression was that this guy was actually in a romantic relationship with the man that owned the other house. And this guy, the neighbor, actually murdered him because he caught him in bed with a prostitute, a female prostitute.
Oh, wow.
Which they knew happened. And I identified both of them.
This is like juicy stuff. This is like ID on This is like ID on Discovery stuff.
Well, I tell you what, the paranormal is filled with real life drama.
Oh yeah.
Corruption, sex, money, drugs. I mean, people are people.
Yeah.
So all that stuff plays out in the paranormal. So it's not uncommon for me. When I first read this, when they first labeled it, they called it the cabin. I said, okay, the cabin. And the first thing I said was,
come here, baby.
This feels like kinky sex. I picked it up immediately. I said, there's kinky sex. They go here for sex. There's something like about sex in this place.
It's like right up my alley.
Yeah. But that's what it was. It was a complicated love triangle type of thing. And it was between multiple different people. And so my detective turns to me later on. He says, we'd like you to talk to, I forget it. We'll call him John.
Yeah.
We'd like you to talk to John. He's our person of interest. I said, you want me to talk to him? I said, don't I have to sign like disclosures or something?
Like, yeah, an affidavit,
He says, no. He says, you're working with us. We're going to let you just talk to him. He says, we're not going to influence it. He says, you just go talk to him. So I did. I went to his front door, knocked on his door. They were standing about 10 feet off. And he comes out, and he was very upset. He was crying, and he was angry. And he said, what do you want? And I tried. I don't know how to describe it, but I tried to just focus on truth and try to share with him the concept of truth. You know what I mean? The feeling of truth. I focused on that, and I said, it's time to tell the truth. And he got very angry, and he says, "You know who did it? She did it. That's the prostitute." They never found the murder weapon, and that was the thing and this guy found the body. He went into the house and found the body, and they never found the gun because this guy took it. And I told him early on that he threw the gun away. So anyways, we had a very emotional conversation, and he did not admit to anything, but he certainly seemed guilty to me. And he was just distraught. He was distraught because this is not a killer.
Right.
This guy was not a killer.
Do you ever have like, I obviously watch a lot of movies with my next question, but do you ever have like, visits from either victims or visits from either, while you're involved with doing these, helping the law enforcement with these cases, like,
well, it's funny. It's different all the time. With this case, I got almost no feeling for the victim. I only got the situation, the building, and the perpetrators. But
well, do you think that's because like that is the intention of your involvement? I mean, the police are basically, their intention to bring you in is to help them find who did this, right?
Right.
So do you think that's why, like, you
I'm not sure. It's like every time and every situation is a little different. They're never exactly the same. And I kind of thought it was odd that, because I'm usually picking up on a victim who proceeds to kind of like share information with me about the events. This one, I didn't have that feeling. I just knew the cowboy, I knew the prostitute, I knew what happened, and I could describe the events and the relationships that led up to this. I do have people that will be in my space, in my house. And typically it happens when I'm starting to read remotely, and then the spirit becomes aware of my consciousness, and we like see each other for like an awkward moment. You know what I mean? It's like, what? Who are you? So sometimes that person will actually feel like they're with me in my house.
That awkward moment.
It's kind of like they're looking at you, but they don't know that you can see them looking at you. It's hard to describe. Like all of a sudden they're there, and I feel them seeing me. They're saying, "Who is this?" And there's no time and space where they are, so they're not thinking like, "Who is this in my house?" They just have become aware of me.
Right.
And sometimes that, because I'm aware of them, there is no distance. They'll seem, and in my mind, like I don't see them with my eyes, but in my mind, I can see them in my house. Like they're there with me. The link is made, and they're there. And most of the time, for that situation, they're always the bad ones. Like, it's not necessarily the good ones. They're usually the difficult ones. They're really...
And why do you think that is? Why do you think...
Because I think it's because that one of the reasons that I can do what I do is because they see me easier than other people. So I can, in my mind, I can be right where they are. And they see me. so they interact with me differently. And the bad people, it's almost universally this feeling of they've been found out. It seems like I've drawn the curtain back on them by becoming aware of them, and they're like, "Who is this person messing with me?" Type of thing.
Right. I mean,
it's more like curious. They're curious. Who is this?
Yeah, like who? Why is this? Who's this guy that's able to do this?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, I like reading remotely. I like the process of reading remotely and then following up on site. It's very interesting because you create the momentum of the investigation remotely. It's not like it starts when you walk in the front door. Like, we're already into it. And that's nice. So when you get on site, you're already being embraced or rebuffed by what's ever there.
So like when they initially contact you though, like do you automatically start, like I know that there are some people, like Sabrina's one, right? Sabrina always knows when a case is going to come her way. Mm-hmm. There'll be like a couple of days that leads up to it where things aren't right or they don't feel like things are happening, and she's like, we'll talk, and she goes, I knew something was going to come up because this and this has happened. Yeah. Do you ever get those types of, like, where you're...
Oh yeah, everyone does. Think of intuition as being an organ, like your intuition organ. Everybody's got an intuition organ, and you use it to navigate your way through life. You may not realize you do, but you do.
That's interesting.
You're drawn to certain things. You know certain things. Everybody has it.
Right.
And then when you start to study yourself, be an observer of yourself, that's when it becomes even more interesting, because then I think it's inevitable that you think, how does this work? What is this? How does this work?
Right.
But everybody has that. And the thing is, how often do you, let me think of an example that just happened. Oh, I can't think of one just happened the other day. I'm trying to be specific. Where I was talking to my neighbor or something like that. We were talking about a particular type of animal, and the next thing I know, I'm watching a show, and all of a sudden they do a study on that particular type of animal, and I thought, what are the odds,
right,
that I have an image of this bird or whatever, and then 2 hours later, that same image is appearing on my television screen.
Right.
That happens a lot, actually.
Huh?
Yeah. It happens a lot. Like, you'll be thinking of something, and all of a sudden it'll be on Facebook. I'm like, how did that happen? That's
because
random.
the eye in the sky is watching. It's a conspiracy. I say it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to be careful what you search for, because it shows up on Facebook.
So it's like what you're thinking, and then all of a sudden, like you said, like either TV or Facebook or something, somebody will mention it, and like, where did that come from? How did this conversation come up? Because I was just thinking about that an hour ago. Right.
Yeah. And the way I explain that, if it's an explanation, because I try to have an explanation for everything. Everything that goes on with me, I try to put it in simple terms, basic language, without a lot of supernatural stuff attached to it, so people can understand. But the rule in my mind is all knowledge is available to all people at all times. So anyone has the ability to understand the full and complete nature of reality at any time. So your consciousness is aware of things that are spinning around in the world, whatever. It's all knowable. And your intuition plugs into that knowledge. So sometimes your intuition can allow you to understand things that are available to you in a manner that you can't by, like, say, reading a book. You know what I mean? It's knowledge you can understand. You can know things deeply inside by believing or understanding that everything is knowable at any time.
Right. You just have to be open. You have to open, right? I mean,
you have to be open, yeah, but your intuition organ is always on. You know what I mean? It's always working. Your intuition is always working.
True.
So you just have to get your mind into that space. It's
so
a lot of times, like when I'm reading, I try to think of analogies, and it's kind of like I'm in a dark room full of stuff, and I'm feeling my way along going, oh, okay, here's a table here. And then, wait a minute, you know what I mean? That's the same kind of feeling I get when I'm using my skills to understand the location. It's like my mind's eye is in a dark room and it's feeling its way along to figure out, and then images start to appear. So and sometimes the images are very sharp and, very in your face, and, sometimes they're like bang, and it's important.
So somebody, I'm just going to read this to you because I don't know if you're on Facebook and you can see the comments,
No.
But our friend Dominic, he's from Canada. We love him. He's a huge fan of the brew, and he's a great guy. He said a whole week I had a vivid dream of the face of a lady that keeps staring at me directly in my eyes. Then they stop. A couple of weeks had passed by, and then I got to meet this lady.
Yeah.
So for him, it was like a dream. But I think when people dream stuff, I feel like, and this is no knock on him, because I unfortunately have never been able to see my dad standing in front of me and this and that, but other people have that I am friends with, or people that are mediums and stuff. Like I just get the typical signs, where I smell his cologne, or there's a certain song that comes on, stuff like that. But I've had people in my life that have physically have seen him standing behind me, right? Where I've had a dream once that I know we were together. It was a visit dream. So for me, Dominic, I'm just going to say, like for me, it's easier for my mind to accept that I saw my dad as a dream, as opposed to seeing him standing in my living room right now, because I probably wouldn't know what to do if I saw my dad standing in my living room right now. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like it would, it was such a tragedy that I feel like it would set me back, years and years and years. So I think that was his way to just hug me and say, I love you. Yeah. And it was easier for me to accept that than it would be if I was like wide awake and he just came walking into my living room.
Right. And all kind of interaction is communication. So some people may need to see him, but I find that lots of times the deeper the connection, you don't need to see them because you know them. You share their consciousness, so they don't need to appear to you. You're already in their mind and in their heart. But a stranger, they might have to show themselves to.
Absolutely.
So I kind of feel like I got your father here. Can we talk?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I usually don't do this. I'm telling you, this just happens spontaneously. But I just have a sense of your father, and what importance is Easter to you and your father? Do you have something with? I'm seeing all these like Easter images, an egg, and this yellow light, and it's funny. I'm getting this whole picture. Something about.
I don't know. I mean, I know my dad really enjoyed all of the holidays because it was the only time this
was something like it's kind of a secret thing between you and him. Not a secret thing, but a thing between you and him that he's sharing with me to demonstrate that he's here.
Yeah. I'm gonna, you know what? It's like I will look into, you know how sometimes you get like that amnesia, you know, when.
Which is funny.
I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying right now.
No, I know it's what it is. It's just what it is.
Right now, it's like I'm caught off guard, so I'm trying.
I know it's get awkward.
No, but
might have been something that was really young. When you're really young and it's suppressed somehow, that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like I would have to like ask my stepmom or my aunt or somebody that might know something that I don't, which, he's a very strong spirit as to what I'm told. A lot of people.
When did he pass?
In 2000.
But what month?
August.
August.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, August. Yesterday was his birthday. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's why you're.
I'm seeing like what I see. It almost looks like a prayer card, and he's looking off into a yellow light. But it seems I'm getting like this Easter colors, and I saw an egg, and it seems like it has something to do with Easter, but it looks like a prayer card. That's what I saw. Was he Catholic?
He was Presbyterian.
Yeah, so they don't have prayer cards. I don't know what this is.
He yeah, I don't know. He did have one. I have one. Good, because he had a Catholic ceremony.
We did. You have a prayer card from him.
Yeah, you had to have a prayer card if you had a Catholic ceremony.
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, it was a very, his procession and his funeral and everything like that was, you would think that Frank Sinatra was being buried that day, to be honest. I mean, it was somebody else is saying it's a birthday card. Could be a birthday.
It's a birthday card.
Or a sympathy card, maybe.
No, it looks like a card. Like I see his face, and he's looking off into the bright sunlight, and it felt like Easter for some reason. It seems like it's Easter colors or something like that. But and then it started to kind of take shape, and I thought, oh, it's a prayer card. I can see a prayer card. I feel like he's trying to come through, and he's trying to give me a piece of information that would link this conversation to you, Karen.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is. But that's interesting that it was his birthday yesterday.
Yes, it was his birthday yesterday. And I, I found that usually I used to like take off because it was such a very, such a hard thing for me to get through.
I understand.
But now as I get older, I'm like, oh, I have to keep myself busy. So so the fact that Dominic just said it's a birthday card, and yesterday was his birthday, you're saying, you're seeing this card and this and that, um, like literally I would take off work. I would bake a cake. I would do like it was a very traumatic,
I'm sure.
it was a very traumatic experience that our whole entire family went through with his
Oh, yeah.
passing. So, for years, I mean, and even still to this day, it's a tough thing to,
I had, I'll change the subject here so we don't have to get all verklempt. I have a friend of mine who's 72 years old. He's a retired cop. He's a retired New York City cop. Lives up here in Tunkhannock. He's a buddy of mine. He's, even though he's 72, he's a musician. We met doing music. So he comes over to my house the other night, Sunday night, and we went out and got some fried fish and some beers and had a big meal. Came back, and we're sitting there listening to music. He's sitting there, and I'm showing him, playing some music I wanted him to hear. And all of a sudden he goes, "Oh, I feel really lightheaded." And I know he has blood pressure issues, severe blood pressure swings, very high, very low. And they try to keep it under control, but I know he has blood pressure issues. So he said, "Take a deep breath, And the look on his face changed, and you could tell he went unconscious. And then he contorted. It looked like someone had taken a hook and pulled down the corner of his mouth. His hands pulled up into the fetal position, and he stopped breathing and was trembling. And I thought, oh my God, he just had a massive stroke. He's done. I said, he's gone. There's no turning back from this, that he'll never recover from this. And I was panicking. I thought he literally had a massive stroke and died in my living room, sitting on my couch.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't find my phone because I had dropped it in his car, and his car's locked, and I'm trying to fish in his pocket to get the keys. And I'm just in a state of disbelief, because my thought was, he's never coming back from this. That was the last time I'll ever see him. His wife will never see him again. He's done. Even if he survives this, he's going to be a vegetable. And I started after this was so, and about, he was out for about, hard to say because I was in a state of panic, 30 seconds to a minute. Like, not brief, but not too terribly long. And then all of a sudden, and he is completely locked up, not breathing, fully contorted and twisted. I thought he was dead, like rigor mortis dead.
Oh,
all of a sudden, he just relaxes and goes, "What?" And I said, and he said, "What? What? You're yelling at me, what?" So he wasn't right for about an hour. Finally, I made a pot of coffee, made him drink some coffee, because I thought I thought he had low blood pressure to the point he passed out. Come to find out, he had a grand mal seizure.
Oh, wow.
The point of the story is,
I've been freaking
out. Will face life-changing events that can't be undone. Yeah. It's part of life. It's part of death. It's such a difficult feeling to deal with that finality that I'm never going to see this person again. They're gone.
Right. Well,
and we all have to face it. We all face it. And accidents happen. Things are fine, and the next minute, your kid is dead in a car accident.
Right.
Or whatever. Very, very part of the human condition causes you to want to understand why life is like that.
Right.
Like, why does it have to be like this?
Well, I mean, you can smack me when you see me, but I feel like we've talked about this before. And the reason I brought it up, was because, we get this a lot on our show where people are like, why can't I can go into somewhere and I can pick up on everything. Why can't I pick up on my loved one? Why can't I pick? And I know, as intuitive as you are, um, I feel like you told me, I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you told me that you as well have, um, I don't know if I feel like you said, and I'm just going to say with your wife, that you came to a point where you said, I had to just let her go.
Yeah.
Right. But I couldn't remember if did you say that you struggled with that connection, or you were having the connection and you realized you were keeping her and had to let her go. I can't remember exactly.
Well, it wasn't specifically to her. That was another conversation. But I'll explain to my clients lots of times that if you truly love your departed relatives or friends or whatever, you need to tell them that you're fine and that you love them, but they don't need to stick around anymore. Mm-hmm. It's time for them to be done. And that's when they have to release their personality. They have to release their ego. And that's hard for people to do because they're tied to the living through a number of different things. Sometimes it's love. It's not always tragedy. Sometimes it's just they just love their family so much they can't bear to leave them, and they want to stay and protect them.
And I think that's true with me and my dad. I honestly,
that is. But at some point, Karen, your dad's got to resolve. If he's truly here, you've got to allow him to know his own peace. Hmm. And if he's bound to the link of love with you, it's comforting for you, but it kind of impedes his journey in a sense. So it's hard.
But I feel like so I've been told that me and my dad have been, and I've been told this numerous times, that we have been in each other's lives just as strongly in many, many lifetimes, right? Whether it's father, daughter, brother, sister,
right,
husband, we've always been in each other's lives in all of our lifetimes. We've been connected, and I think we both can't let go of that bond.
I've got him really strong. I've got him. And he says, I'm just being me. I'm just showing up and being me. Very strong personality. He's just...
Yeah, he is.
Forward confident. Just face forward confidence.
Yeah.
And he's just like... I can just hear his hum.
Yeah.
The hum of his consciousness. I can hear it.
Yeah, he's a very strong when he comes through. He's very strong, and I love that because I don't get to experience that very often. Like I get like I said, the smell of his cologne once in a while. I hear a song, or something will happen. I mean, Sabrina's witnessed things sometimes, where he's there, but for me personally, I don't it's always got to be somebody else around that's kind of helping, like not helping him because he's strong, but I think when it's coming through somebody else, it's easier for me to accept.
Oh yeah, he's a very he and I would relate to each other. I mean, you know, you can say a lot of things about anything, but I'll just tell you the persona I'm getting is just somebody who is on the scene. He's on the scene, and just incredibly confident. I mean, the vibe I'm getting now is happiness.
He was always happy. He was
He's always happy. He's just like happy.
He's always happy. Yep. And on the scene, like, I mean, he had 7 children, and he was the only worker. He was a police officer. He was a sergeant. Yep. So, I mean, he worked hard. So, but everybody that knows him, you would have, I mean, they all say his smile and his laugh were contagious, and they just go on forever. Like that's the one thing that everybody says, that people that I don't even know, they'll come up to me and they're like, "Oh my God, your dad." Like his smile and his laugh was so contagious. And so just, there's never been a bit.
I don't want to make you uncomfortable, so tell me to stop if you want me to stop. But he's right there. He's right there now. He's right there. He's right in the room with you.
Mm-hmm.
He's standing towards an open door in the background.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
He's
there is one open door in my background. I'll just tell you that right now.
That's where I can't see you. That's where he's standing. He's standing right there.
Okay.
In my mind, that's where I see him.
There's only one open door. That
he's right there.
Yeah. And I will turn the thing around if anybody doesn't believe me, but every other door that is in downstairs right now is all shut except for one.
I wish something would happen, or like he doesn't feel compelled to do any parlor tricks or anything. He's just there.
Yeah.
He's just glowing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think because even though I haven't seen him, I've accepted the fact that the reason that is because it would never be enough. He could be here for an entire day. He could be here for 3 seconds. He could be here for a week. It would never be enough. And I think it would set me back. So, what's happening now, or if like Sabrina picks up on him and she'll text me, or Beth picks up on him, people just, my friends that are sensitive and mediums are like, "Oh my God, your dad's here. Oh my gosh, your dad is like, blah, blah, blah." I think he knows that fulfills my, I don't know.
I think he's very proud of you.
Well,
that's kind of, I think he likes to stand and watch you and think of how proud he is. Like he just wants to stand there and be proud of you. He's enjoying that.
That's good. I mean, I get my heart is my dad, so I'm very tenacious. Right. I am very, I mean, I am literally him, I'm a product of my father for sure. So,
Well, this is all good feelings, so that's nice.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I love when he just decides to pop in and say, "Hey."
Well, this is like, in a way, what you were talking about while we were in Selma Mansion. Here you and I are talking. Mm-hmm. We're not even in the same room. We're not in the same area at all, but where our conscious minds are linked. And when that happens, stuff like this happens.
Right.
It's funny. Just our conversation kind of shifts the reality a little bit.
Right. And now my cousin's watching, and my cousin, she's also very, very, very intuitive, and she herself has had experiences with my father, and she just gave 3 hearts. So I think she's awesome. Oh, what did I do? What happened? Are you guys still here?
I am.
All right, wait. I don't know what I did. Hold on. I must have hit something. Bill wants me to ask you about your music. But also, Kimberly Dale says, I swear my spirit box comes on by itself at times. I know it's my mom because she will say a key word about a situation I'm in at the moment. Oh, so it's like a validation. You cut Sab off.
Spirit box will talk to her.
I didn't. Did I cut her off? I didn't mean to. Sabrina, come back on.
Oh, Sabrina's not there with you?
I don't know what happened. She has to come back on.
No, I thought she was in the same room with you. She's not?
No. We're doing the stream. We're doing that StreamYard thing. But I think
I thought Sabrina was with you.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Hold on. I have to tell her she has to come back on because I don't know what happened.
Who's Bentley? Ben Bentley.
Bentley.
This is associated with your father.
Brittany?
Who's Brittany?
Britty. He called her Britty.
This could be that. Who's that?
His dog. It was his baby.
Oh.
But there could be, I can ask my aunt. Like my aunt, so my cousin who is watching, Jody, her mom is like a mom. She's my mom. Aside from me, she's my mother. Jody is her daughter. So I look at Jody as a sister. And her mom is best friends with my father, was best friends. The 2 of them were like, peas and carrots, So anything that you're saying, best believe I'm going to ask her because she may know more than me, because I was only 22 when he passed away. Yeah.
Wow, he's very strong for that long.
Right. He's been gone 20 years now. So
he feels fresh and energized. His energy is very clean and visual as light. That's funny. It's interesting.
Yeah, so if there's anything that that you're saying,
I think that I feel like we just made friends. I think that I'll have him for a little bit. I don't think he's just going to fade away. I feel like he's going to share some information with me that I'll share with you at some point. And I just don't know what it is yet, but it feels imminent that I'm going to know something.
Well, I love you. So if I love you, I know that he would love you too. So
I feel like he's my buddy already.
He had that knack. He did that. People he made people feel like they were the most important person in the world. He had that. I don't know how he did it. Even now, people, I will meet people that I never even knew existed. And they will tell me, they tell me, they share stories with me about how he impacted their life and how amazing of a person he is. And then to hear this, because I think he was like Superman, right? I thought he was like Superman. But to hear other people that I don't even know aren't a part of our family to say the same things about him, it just, for me, just makes me, a very proud daughter.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's different ways you can think about this, but you're really very lucky that you have this very positive experience still available to you.
Yes.
Even though your father is passed, because the feeling is very much like he's here, present. You know what I mean? It's so that's, that doesn't happen all the time. So that's really a cool thing. That's very lucky.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I that's why I was saying, like, the connection and the bond just, I don't know if it's me keeping him here or it's he doesn't want to leave, but I
think that he's still exerting his energy in our plane of reality, in a sense of that he's not done glowing yet.
No.
He still has glow time. And that won't last forever, but that's kind of like, I don't feel like he's trapped. I don't feel like it's anything negative. I feel that he's just in this state of confidence.
Yeah.
And there's no struggle to it.
Right.
There's no struggle to this.
Right.
He's just glowing.
Yeah. It's like he's doing what he wants to do.
He's doing what he wants to do. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And whether that be, I mean, let's face it, he has, he had 7 kids. He has a sister that he loved more than anything, his wife. I'm sure he's, if family was everything to him. So I know he's not always just with me, but I know he hasn't left.
He's in your house.
Yeah, I mean,
he's absolutely in your house. I mean, he's there. I know he's in your house.
Yeah, I love to hear that because we were besties,
Yeah.
So.
Plus, you got a cop on duty. You have security, personal security.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. And he when he was alive, he used his cop abilities to make sure that I was in the best company that I could be in. So I know he's still doing that.
Yes.
For sure. And I love him for that. I mean, he just I always worry. I had somebody tell me one time, and I stopped going, and my sissy is watching. I don't want her to be mad at me. But I haven't gone to the cemetery because there was a medium that told me one time that he doesn't believe in that. And when I go there, I bring him there and he doesn't like it. So I stopped going to the cemetery because of that. And
I would agree with that. Mm-hmm. I can understand that completely. Now, I didn't have those thoughts, but that makes perfect sense to me.
So I know
he's not there. He doesn't want to go there.
Right. And I know he didn't believe in that. I remember having a conversation with him and him telling me himself, like, my mom was his mother. So he's like, I don't go to my mom's grave.
Yeah.
Did you
have a lucky rabbit's foot? I keep on seeing these Easter images, rabbits, eggs,
Oh my
golden
God.
yellow
Oh my
sunbeam.
God. Yep. So
I can't
now
explain
you're
it.
saying that. Yes. Oh, that is. So I have a chest that has a whole bunch of things that either, my dad gave me or I gave him. Also, um, there was a lot of benefits that were held afterwards. So there's like shirts in there from benefits and prayer cards and stuff. And one of the things that I got one year for Christmas from him was a rabbit's foot to put on my keychain. And that's in my chest.
Well, that's what he showed me. That's the Easter connection. I see rabbits. I mean, in my mind, it's Easter. What can I say? But I see an egg. I throw rabbits. I see this golden yellow light. It feels like Easter. It looks like this card. But then I just saw a rabbit's foot. And so there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother.
Huh?
I said, thank you, brother. I was talking to him.
Yeah. Yeah. The rabbit's foot. I have it. It's in my chest. It says the chest says it says Daddy's Treasures on it, and
Oh
it
my
just
God! Because I was going to say he's definitely attached, and I don't like that term attached, but he definitely is closely associated with an object in your house. You can feel it.
Yeah.
And that's why he's there. So that's cool. That's cool. That just means a lot to him.
Yeah, I have his first leather jacket. I have a uniform of his. I also have, I know you can't see it, but I have around my neck I have his handcuff key and a bullet from
Oh, that's right. I've seen those before.
yes,
You showed me.
from the 1980s. But also, like I said, upstairs I have his I have so many things that I'm grateful to have, but um one is a rabbit's foot that he gave me.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
yeah, that's interesting. Wow. That's because that's not something that I don't think I've ever told anybody. It's just in there. Like nobody, I don't go in there, you know, you know, any boyfriend I've ever had, I've never shared those things with anybody, It's just
Well,
that's me and his thing, and
but then he just allowed me
yes, he did.
to deliver that message to you that just validates everything that you think about his presence.
Yeah.
He just allowed me to do that. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Oh,
that was cool. Yeah.
oh, and somebody saying the card is in the chest. Yeah, I think, that card that you were seeing too is probably in there as well.
Right.
When I get it, I'm going to take a picture of it and I'm going to send it to you.
Cool.
This
makes me feel good. Like I feel good now. So this is good.
Yeah, no, he does that. He does that. He makes everybody feel good. This isn't a bad thing. This is his energy is just so positive and so good and so strong,
Well, I wish I could be like that. That would be a nice thing. Except when I'm dead, I am done.
Not me.
I'm not hanging around. It's like now.
I always tell everybody, I'm like, if I die before anybody else, I always say, go to the Eisenhower House in Gettysburg because that's where my spirit is going to be, for sure. I tell Kenny Biddle all the time, I'm like, if I die, go to the Eisenhower House. I'll give you your evidence you want. I'll give it.
Oh, no, we'll debunk it.
I know. I think me and him have to come up with a secret passphrase, and then when he goes there, I'll give him that passphrase, and then maybe he might believe. Who knows?
No,
he'll think I told somebody.
Being a skeptic is a belief system, just like being a Catholic is a belief system.
Right.
It's a different form of religion.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I respect it. I mean, I can't, I watch and I listen and I hear him very open-mindedly and he researches and, half the time, you can't argue it. I think he definitely, with most things, I get it, but there are things like what just happened between me and you. I don't care what anybody else says. I don't care. I don't care if the Pope came and said, "Yeah, this can't happen." I don't care. For me, I felt it in my heart. I felt it in my stomach.
Right.
I got I know it. So, and there's no way you could have known that because nobody knows that. I don't even think there's not a single person on the face of this earth, that knows that except for maybe the people that were around when he gave it to me, which would have been Christmas, probably 25 years ago, and who remembers that. So for me, that is just something that, I've never put it on any social media. I've never talked about it. I've never, you know what I mean? It just,
yeah, I do know what you mean.
So,
no, it's cool. He told us.
Yeah. And how random is it? That's not something that anybody could just pick out of a hat and it's, anybody could relate to.
Right. And for me, if I say I've got somebody, I mean it.
Right.
I don't say that lightly. If I say I've got somebody, that's because the link is made and I've got them in front of me and I can see them and I can know them and I can understand them. And if we're investigating enough, you'll recognize that I don't say that lightly, like, oh, I think I got them, or maybe there's, if I say I got them, I got them.
Right. No, I know. I've investigated with you, and it only took one time. So anything, when you say something, I pretty much, I am, I'm a Constantine St. Michael believer, put it that way.
Oh, good.
And I don't believe in that many people, in our field, but
it's tough. Yeah,
it is tough. And but I've personally have experienced things with you that I've never experienced with anybody doing an investigation. And now this, right? So,
and once again, I consider myself very lucky that I'm able to walk my walk in a sense. I'm actually able to do what I do under my own terms. You know what I mean? I'm very lucky. I don't have to compromise for anyone. I could just do it and do it clean. And that's been, I'm always thankful that it's been very easy for me. I don't have to struggle to be some type of personality or something like that. It's just been very easy for me, and it continues to be easy. And
I gotta tell you though, when I first met you, it's almost like I feel like I've known you, but not really. You know what I mean? Like we met and we just kind of like okay, let's go investigate. And it was just like, it was almost like I knew you forever.
Yeah, I agree.
So my sister said that she loves and appreciates your honesty. And then Dominic said that he can feel the vibes and the energy of you, and it's really, really. I gotta tell you, you're amazing. I love you. I love you. I was like, when I first.
And I'm feeling it tonight. It's funny. I'm on alert tonight. I don't know what it is. It's going to be your father, but the skin on my back is tensing up. I'm just on alert. This is how I get when I walk into a situation. I don't know what it is, then. It must be your father.
But I feel like that's just,
right now.
but that happens with you and I, right? I mean,
Right.
I don't know. Maybe, it just, I don't know. I think it's awesome. And I'm grateful to have been able to meet you and become friends with you. And,
so let's get some work.
Yeah.
That's the problem. I could do this every week. I could go in a different case, and it's just, it just doesn't work like that. I can work all the time. Right. I never tire of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would absolutely love to bring you with me everywhere I go.
Well, I'd never go to Gettysburg. I really do. I was there as a child, and I thought it was cool. I loved even as I was probably.
Oh, you said the key word. You said.
Huh?
You just said the magic word.
What?
Gettysburg.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because I remember even when I was there, like as a child, like 10, I didn't understand what was going inside my head, but I just remembered feeling the weight of Gettysburg. Even as a child, I just sensed it. I just went, this place just has its own gravity. I mean, there's these fields, these barren fields, and these odd monuments tucked in here and there. It just had a very surreal feel to me.
Gettysburg is. I honestly don't know. I was never a scholastic person. So I didn't pay attention in school. I hated science, I hated history, I hated math. The only thing that I could deal with was English. And I don't even do that right anymore. But anyway, I grudgingly was pulled to Gettysburg one day by my mother. And the second I got out of my car, it felt like home. And there's a lot of people I know that go there, and they pick up on a lot of the negative stuff that's been left behind, the suffering and the fighting and the negative. For me, it's the total opposite. I go there and I pick up on, the in between the fighting, and the in between the tragedies, like, the soldiers talking to each other about, their loved ones and how they can't wait to get home. And, this is what we're fighting for, the patriotism and because I'm a very patriotic person. So, and to me, Gettysburg is the heartbeat of this nation. And just being there, I feel that patriotism and I feel that unity and, the desire to strive as an America, I don't pick up on the tragedy of things. I don't pick up on the death, however, and surprisingly, a lot of people have said that they've only captured residual stuff there, but for me, it's all been intelligent.
I think that it's the sense of humanity, the overwhelming sense of humanity with a capital H.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's eternal. But it's and it's made up of individual lives and personal moments, but it all comes into this, like, and I'll say it, like a vortex of humanity. And being human, we sense this. It's in the ground. So you cannot just walk there.
Right.
And not feel some sense of that.
I mean, it's just it's like it seeps through the ground. You can just you can feel it. Anybody, I mean, you don't even have to be sensitive, and you can feel it.
Right. I agree. That's what I'm saying. I don't think anybody, unless they're completely distracted by whatever,
right,
would not sense it in their gut.
I mean, I feel like that whole, like, you know, like I said earlier, I'm a very tenacious person. I fight for what I believe in. I stand for what I believe in. I mean, anybody and everybody that knows me knows that I don't back down. I will fight for what I believe in, right? So to me, that's what I resonate with there. You know, I resonate with that fight, you know, and to me, that's a good feeling because, you know, what they did there, what they served for a purpose, and it means something. It meant something, you know, and you know, for me, it's just I can relate with that energy that's there, 1000%. But yes, I would love to go to Gettysburg with you, and I would love for you to stay with me in the my most favorite inn, the Inn at Lincoln Square. The energy there, you know, gradually as I stay there becomes more and more, I think they more and more trust me, you know, because they get to know me. But the more I go there, the more it's more active and loud and prevalent. And you know, I'm here and we're not afraid of you. You're not afraid of us. So here we are. But the Inn at Lincoln Square in Gettysburg, to me, is probably, I mean, I've had the most experiences there at that place.
That sounds excellent.
Oh my God, I would love for you to come with me whenever you say it. I need any excuse to go to Gettysburg. I'm going.
Now, the Inn at Lincoln Square,
yeah.
When you go there, do you investigate or do you just enjoy it?
It depends. So if me and Rob go, Rob is not, he is not involved in the paranormal. He does not have an interest in it. So when me and Rob go, it's more of
we can stay in the car.
It's more of a Gettysburg experience, you know?
Yeah.
If I go by myself, which I have many of times, I've gone for 10 days by myself, 8 days, 7 days, or if I go with friends that are in the paranormal, it's a paranormal trip, and that's awesome. You know, either way, it's awesome. I don't care, you know, why I'm going. I could go for a day just to get ice cream, and I'm happy. You know.
Yeah.
How
far is it from your house?
It's about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's a hike. It's about 2.5 for me at least.
But that's not even to me, that's not far.
No, I drive that all the time.
I could be further, and I never want to be further. Like if anything, I do want to move there. I want to live there one day. That is my goal. I love it there so much.
Well, that's going to happen.
Yeah, I hope so, because I mean, even now, like you go, you know, with how much everybody is so in turmoil, I feel like people are just so filled with so much negativity and hatred, and you go there and it's like it's in its own little bubble. Everybody just loves everybody. Nobody gives a shit about what's happening, you know. Everybody's just like accepts what's happening in Gettysburg. Like nobody's like judging anybody, you know.
Yep. Well, cool.
So, well, we've been on for like 2 hours because I mean that's just you. I mean, I could talk to you for forever. But we definitely have to find time to set aside and do something together for sure.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
and not just meet like once every other year at Selma.
It's true. Well, excuse me. So let's say
we have to plan something.
Yes.
Something.
But we got to put a timetable on it, because if you don't, you'll never do it. So
I know.
within the next 3 months,
yes,
we will plan something.
We have to. And if my sissy is still watching, I want my sissy to come too. She'll love you.
Excellent.
You guys would get along great. I think, so if she's watching, I would love for her to be with us. But we have to play, and I have a humongous house. You can stay here. You don't have to get a hotel room. Just come and hang out, and we can just veg out and then do whatever we got to do paranormal wise. We can go to Gettysburg. We can do whatever. We have to do something.
Cool. What town do you live in?
Sicklerville.
Sicklerville, yeah.
Yeah. So, but, and Jody just said we're in, so we're good. So we have to,
Excellent.
Yeah. So.
Well, bring your father too.
Yes.
He can drive.
Yeah, that would be great.
He'll come. He's in.
Yes. You know what's crazy? My Jody's, my sister, my mom told me that my father was a huge history buff. And I can't help but to think like me and him probably would be taking trips to Gettysburg together.
Oh yeah. For sure.
Yeah. You're included, sure. Steve. Yeah. I'm sad that I missed out, because I was 22, so he was still kind of parenting, I never got the chance to know him as an adult. Right.
Right.
So when I hear these things, I love hearing these things because I got it from him unknowingly. But I think about like, oh my God, me and him would be like, what are you doing today? What are you doing today? All right, let's go to Gettysburg. All right, let's go. Just like, so that might be another reason why I'm drawn there. I don't know. But
hey,
what?
There, sometimes you don't even have to look for reasons. It just is.
Yeah, true.
The attraction's just there. So
I just say that I'm very thankful that I have a place that I go to that recharges my battery and feels like makes me feel like me again, because not a lot of people get to find that place.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
And particularly today.
Yeah.
They just aren't places that people can go to have these kind of inner conversations, graveyards. One of the reasons graveyards are cemeteries were, had statuary and plantings is people would take a day and they'd go and have a picnic in the cemetery where their relatives were. Like they're kind of designed to allow you to go into thought and to kind of free yourself up from the outside world to just experience like the eternalness and understanding of death and that type of thing.
Oh yeah, no, I know this it's Roscoe. I know this probably sounds morbid, but I do. Cemeteries to me are very.
Oh, I love them.
Calming.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know why. I don't know why it's so peaceful. But they are, and I love walking around and reading the headstones and seeing.
I do it all the time.
Yeah, I know it sounds like. Rob doesn't understand that part. He's just like, why do you want to stop at the cemetery? I'm like, well, I don't know. Why?
Why? You ask why?
Yeah. Yes, somebody wants my attention. Do you have to go outside and go potty? My little boy.
Are you still on live stream?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're still live.
I thought you had a schedule. I thought you were only an hour.
No, that was when we were on Paranormal Warehouse, but now we're on the Brew. So
Oh,
we're back on the Brew. We can talk for as long as we want.
excellent.
But, yeah.
I got to figure out what that problem is with SteamYard. I got to figure that out.
Yeah, I would love to have you on so people can,
I can't. I'll Google it again tomorrow, but yeah, I apologize. I couldn't figure it out.
But that's okay. I'm happy that you shared your time with us. And I'm happy that you came on. I'm happy that Bill said use your phone, have him call in, because I don't know what I don't know why I didn't think of that. But and I thank everybody for joining us. Dominic, Jody, Steve, Angel, even though I can't read Spanish, I'm sorry. I don't know. There was somebody on here that was talking Spanish, and I can't read it. I don't know what they were saying. And there's a lot of people that came on to join us, and I'm very thankful for that. And next 3 months we will be having a little get together.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
We have to.
Excellent.
And I love you.
I love you too. I will talk to you. Thank you very much. Thank you all for listening.
Yeah, thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much.
I'll talk to you.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, he's so great. I literally could talk to him for hours. I really could. He's just amazing. One of my most favorite people to talk to. Hopefully Sunday, I think I'm going to have my other good friend on, Kenny Biddle, who is a skeptic, and he's awesome. I will ask him his opinion on things if I get pictures, videos, and stuff like that. So hopefully we can get him on this Sunday. And they were asking if the show was in Spanish. Oh, okay. I am your little sissy, Jody. I love you. I wish I could do the show in Spanish. I don't, Yo quiero Taco Bell. That's all I know. Mi casa, su casa, trabajar. I know like basic stuff. Not, I wish. I don't know anybody that would be able to do that, but if anybody could do that, that would be great. Anyway, I've talked enough, and I'm sure you guys are getting tired. And I love you guys for joining me. Jodes, you got to come on. I want you on here with me. So come on. You have to come on. And we need to talk about you and your abilities and how amazing you are and how much you help people. Love everybody. Thank you so much. Good night.